Here we are in beautiful sunny Casa Grande, Arizona. I'm standing in front of our Wuertz Farm sign here. My name is Waylon Wuertz and I am the co-owner of Wuertz Gourd Farm LLC. We're going to be giving you a tour today of what we do here on the farm. We grow about 300,000 to 400,000 gourds a year, and we're going to show you some of the different varieties that we grow. So follow me. In front of me here we have one of our newer varieties that we started growing a couple years ago. Some of them even look like a giant penguin. We call them either a tall body or a base gourd. Again, the name, they work very good for the very popular thunder gourds that people have been making recently. And here a little bit later in our segment, we'll show you what thunder gourds sound like. But for our purposes here, this is just a very, very nice symmetrical, very thick-shelled gourd that I'd say about 60–70% have a nice flat bottom where they'd stand on their own. And they have very nice symmetrical features and work great for a variety of projects. Again, wood burning, carving, you can do all with those. The other variety that I have behind me are the extra long handled dipper gourds. These work great for small, ornamental, not necessarily useful birdhouses, but they can be painted quite nicely. They work great in floral arrangements, and we've had a number of people start linking these together and start making a chain and do all kinds of different ornamental purposes with that. So they're a fun variety. Every single one is unique. We don't grow any straight ones here on the farm. We let them grow on the ground, and they do pretty much whatever they want to in all pretzel-y shapes. In front of me here we have the hard-shell warty gourd. These gourds are about the size of a baseball and softball. And they all grow these cool, fun little warts on them. It's not a bacteria or fungus that grows on them. The little bumps are actually part of the shell, and so they're actually part of the gourd, so they don't really sand off. But again, they're just about a nice 4 to 6 inch diameter gourd that all sit flat. They make great little nut and candy dishes or small bowls, and anybody wanting a unique project, they work perfect for. The other one we have here, the goose gourd. They look just like the spitting image of your typical goose. They got the head shaped identical to it. These are just kind of an average thickness gourd. They're not very much used for carving or wood burning, but they'll just paint them to look just like a goose. Kids really love these too. Over here we have the Moroccan gourds. These I think are some of the coolest looking shapes. They all grow with these weird ridges on them. They make great birdhouses. Kids have fun with them because they can also make elephant heads, the neck being the trunk, and they've also made some really cool dinosaurs and swan. It kind of looks like that sitting in the water. So a very, very thick gourd. The necks on these things can reach 3/4 of an inch thick. So again, great for carving, great for wood burning, and just an all-around very unique gourd. Okay, in front of me here we have two other varieties of gourds. The first one here, probably the most common gourd that people associate with, the dipper gourd. And these were grown in the olden days for scooping water out of a tub for drinking. You just slice it right across here, clean out the inside, and they were used for a ladle to drink directly out of. These have been very popular with just a simple birdhouse. People have done anything from dinosaurs to birds to everything else you can think of. And here at the farm we grow actually 2 to 3 different varieties of the dippers. Some have a flat bottom, some have more of a rounded bottom, but they all have a neck. And most of the necks are going to be around 8 to 12 inches long. The other variety that we have right next to us is called the Canteen Board. These are a perfectly flat, round gourd that all have a flat bottom. And again, very universal gourd. They can be made into shallow bowls. We can do a lot of nut and candy dishes out of these. More recently, people have started to make purses out of them too, where you can cut the top part off, put a little hinge on it, and then it flips open. So we're seeing a lot of purses made out of those as well. And again, generally a very thick gourd. These typically have a shell thickness of about 1/3 to a little over a 1/2 inch thick. So again, perfect for carving and wood burning. In front of me here we have 2 different varieties of gourds that we grow here on the farm. It's one of the 32 different varieties that we do grow. The one that I've got in my hand, this is called a Copper Canyon Canteen Board. They're also known as just a giant pear. The good majority of them have flat bottoms, so they work perfect for doing vases, small bowls, or you can leave them intact and they're just great to paint, wood burn, and carve. The other variety I'm holding right here is called the Petal or Martin House Gourd. This is probably the most universal gourd that we grow. It can be made into a nice bowl. It can be left intact to do painting. It can be cut off high. It can be cut vertically to get 2 equal halves for doing masks. And it's probably the variety that we sell the most of here at the farm. And 99% of them have a perfectly flat bottom. In front of me here we have 2 new varieties. We have another variety, and I bet you can guess what this one is right here based on its shape. These are our giant apple gourds that we grow. They grow about anywhere from 5 to 7 inches in diameter and roughly about the same in height as well. Again, people use these as a simple project. They can clean them off, paint or stain just like an apple, glue a fake leaf on it, and you've got a finished project. Really popular for kids to give their teachers, and a very good gourd to kind of start off with if you're not used to working with gourds. The other one here that we have is what we call a penguin gourd. And again, you can see the name of that. They kind of look like a small penguin. We see a lot of people making rattles out of these because the seeds will shake. They also paint small birds on them, and there's a lot of other useful projects that you can do with this variety as well. They don't get very big. This is about an average sized one. They'll get slightly bigger, and they'll get about half the size of this one. But they're all just kind of a very unique shape, and again, we see a lot of people paint and wood burn on them. In front of me here is another variety of a warty gourd that we grow. This one is called the African hardshell warty gourd. These are more the shape and size of a pineapple. And these are very, very, very thick. These will average about 3/4 of an inch to a full inch thick. And when cut open, they make just a really interesting nut and candy dish. And we've also seen a lot of sheep done out of these, where they do the face here, and then the warts covering it looks like the fleece. So they make kind of a sheep piggy bank out of them, so to say. But again, a very unique variety, very thick. So if you are working on this, feel free to carve away. In front of me here, we have another very popular variety. These are our giant penguin gourds. It's kind of a new cross that's happened for the farm here. We never really intended to grow these. They just kind of happened. We've been saving the seed, and we've been able to regenerate these for the last 3-4 years. And these have been very popular for the thunder gourds, which we'll again show you in a later segment. But they work very good for floral arrangements. People will also do them in sets so that you can have them actually stand, and they'll work really good, sometimes just posted up together there. Behind me here is a variety similar to the giant penguin gourd, but it's called a club gourd. And if you can imagine this gourd perfectly straight, it would look just like a baseball bat. They all have a kind of a bulbous head on them, and so these have been very popular with our gourd customers for doing spirit dolls, for doing cocopellis, and for just a lot of other pieces. They don't quite look like a snake, but don't worry, we have other varieties that make perfect snakes for those of you wanting to do the reptiles out of them. But these are very neat. They're not a super thick gourd, but they do work. You can carve and you can wood burn on them too, just not as deep as some of the other varieties. Behind me here we have another unique variety. These are called the Indonesian bottle gourds. They look similar to our normal bottle gourds, with the exception that they usually have a very long neck and then a head on top. And typically they'll be anywhere from this shape to this shape and bent over. We don't see a whole lot of birdhouses made out of these. They are a little bit thinner gourd, but just the unique shape of these are what people like, and we see some very unique projects done out of these as well. So we grow just a handful of these, and the unique thing with these is you can also lop the tops off here, and then this bulb is very symmetrical, and they work great for the yerba mate cups that people drink the tea out of. So again, you can almost get 2 projects out of one gourd by cutting it off here. Cutting it off here, you get a shallow bowl, and you might even be able to do something with the neck there as well. In the pallet next to me here, we have the bottle gourd. Again, this is one of our better selling varieties. Around Christmas time, again, they're made into, you know, a perfect snowman. The Hawaiians use these for a lot of their instruments, a lot of them being the ipu gourd. It's a traditional musical instrument that they'll use, and this is about the same shape and size that they use for a lot of those. They come in a variety of sizes. This is about a medium-sized bottle gourd. This is more along the smaller size, and we do get some a little bit larger ones there as well. But again, these typically run about 1/3 to 3/4 of an inch thick. Very nice, hard, and symmetrical. And for the most part, most of them do have a flat bottom where they will sit on their own. These are also referred to as a birdhouse gourd. A lot of people will use these for doing regular birdhouses, and they'll hold up to all the elements outside as well. So very universal gourd, and we have a ton of them here at the farm. Over here in this section, we have some of our smaller Christmas ornament sized gourds. The first one that we have, the egg gourd. Again, you know, these names are pretty common with what they look like. So this one is about the size of a chicken or goose egg, and we sell a lot of these around Easter time. They work great for painting. They're a thinner variety, so that there's not really a whole lot of wood burning and carving done with them, but they work very good for Christmas ornaments and Easter decorations in April. These, we have the miniature kettle gourd. These are a super, extremely thick little gourd. You can wood burn, you can carve. These are so thick we can actually stand on them without them breaking. And I'm a good 200 pounds and it's still not breaking even under my weight. So again, a very dense shell for wood burning, carving, and they're just a really cool, almost snowman shape, similar to our mini bottle gourds. This other variety next to me here is called a crown of thorn gourd. They look very similar to the squashes that people have grown in the past, similar to a patty pan or some of the other squashes, but this is actually a gourd. They make a wide variety from nut and candy dishes where they can cut the center out of these. The good majority of them sit flat if you cut the stem end off. And then we've seen some lions made out of these, where this is the main. They'll do eyes and face. They'll do some ghosts and jellyfish out of them too. And again, a lot of people with the smaller ones, they'll run a little stem down here and they almost look like a little tulip. So we'll do some bouquets of flowers out of these as well. Here in front of me right now, I have 2 varieties. We have the cannonball and we have the canteen. Now, when most people come to the farm, they think, well, I'm going to buy a gourd, I'm going to take it home and start painting on it right away. Well, before you do that, all the skin of these gourds, it has to come off, otherwise the paint or stain isn't going to stick. So, you'll end up scrubbing these in water with a copper or stainless steel dish scrubber, and then you get down to this beautiful wood that is below all the skin. And a lot of times just this natural wood on here is so pretty that people won't even want to paint over it. So they'll have different modeling, different patterns, and a clean gourd is going to be a ton prettier than the unclean gourds. For those of you that have been out to Wuertz Farm, I'm sure you're familiar with this pricing system that we have here. It's basically the only way that we figured out how to measure gourds and sell them at a very reasonable price to our customers. It's by no means scientific, but for our purposes here in selling gourds, it works perfectly. So if a customer were to come here and they wanted to buy this kettle or Martin House gourd, what we do is we start off big and we go until it stops. The hole that it stops on is the diameter of the gourd, which is 7 inches, and this particular one happens to be $4. Prices are subject to change at different times in the year, but for right now, this is a 7-inch or $4 gourd. That's how we measure those. The gourds that have a little bit more length to them than they do width, we measure them by their length. not their diameter. So this banana gourd would fall right into the dollar price range, which is roughly about 9 inches long. So that's how we measure the gourds here at Wuertz Farm. Here at Wuertz Farm, we also have a very unique display room. In this room is about a 9-year work in progress of various animals and items that you might see out in the desert here in Arizona. One of our artist friends, Mary Lou Savage, she is an artist south of here in Marana. She is very, very talented, and you can see that by the works of art that she has done in here. Everything in this room is made 100% out of gourds. There is gourd, there is a little bit of glue, and there is paint. There is no clay anywhere in this room that make up the animals or the cactus or the rocks. She wanted to keep this as realistic as possible. So the rabbit, the quail, the cactus, everything you see is cut pieces of gourd, glued onto a body of another gourd, and made to look like the animal that it is. So, like I said, this is a work in progress. Each year there's a new piece added, and it's very, very unique, and there's about 200 to 300 hours that went on in each piece here. So if you want more information and to see more of these desert animals, come on down to Wuertz Farm. Here we are in our small gift shop here at Wuertz Farm. We built this room about 8-9 years ago just to show people what can be done with gourds. So it's a small room, but we've got it filled full of lots and lots of unique projects that people have done. If you follow me over this way, we have some of our most popular items that have been made over the last couple of years. The first thing in front of me is one of the Thunder Gourds. This came about in the gourd world maybe 3-4 years ago, and it's been a hit ever since. Basically, it's a long gourd with a thin plastic membrane with a spring screwed into it. And once it gets vibrating, you'll hear why they call it a Thunder Gourd. The vibration of the spring up and against the plastic membrane just echoes throughout the gourd and causes a very cool rumbling sound. There's a number of varieties that'll work for this. If you're wanting to make your own, all you need is a tall body shaped gourd, this plastic membrane, and a spring, and it gives you the very cool thunder sound. Over the years, drums have been made into all kinds of musical instruments. Some of the drums, we've got the goblet style drum, all different kinds of stuff, flutes, wind instruments, you name it, the drums, the thunder gourds, all different kinds of stuff can be made from the gourds. And next on this list we have one of the unique things, and I don't do a whole lot with gourds. I enjoy growing them, I enjoy selling them, but this is the creation that I thought of there. And it's a wine dispenser. For those of you that like boxed wine, it's a simple process. You take the bladder out of the boxed wine, you find the gourd that you like, you take a hole saw, drill it the same size as the spigot, and then you just cut around the gourd, clean it out, and then the rest is up to you. You can make it as fancy or as simple as you want. And then the bladder from the boxed wine just sits right down in there, and then the top goes right on it, and you've got your fancier than a boxed wine dispenser. Kind of cool. And we've got just various little things. We've got some masks. We've got a great creation by Miriam with the wax technique there. Beautiful addition to the gift shop. One of our other friends, they started doing some of the night lights out of them as well. And so the sky's the limit as far as the gourds go. This gourd, just simple. We took it to a buffing wheel. And the buffing wheel spinning is burning it and polishing it all in one go. And it just creates a very unique finish on it. Out of some of the longer gourds, we have the rain sticks. So again, sounds just like rain coming down. These are typically made out of our snake gourds. They're cut open, cleaned out, and then there's very thin dowels. They're glued in kind of a spiral staircase way all throughout the gourd, and then different size beads are put back in to give the sound of ring. Also here at Wuertz Farm, we carry just a few supplies. We normally carry a lot of gourding books for people wanting to kind of get just some more literature as far as working with gourds. We also carry the leather dyes. The leather dyes give the gourds a very beautiful but natural look without covering up the natural highlights that the gourds naturally have. And so from browns to reds to greens, we sell leather dyes in a variety of different colors. We also carry a few cutting tools, a few scrapers, and a few other things as well. Now, when I said some of the natural patterns that gourds have, every once in a while when we clean the outer skin off, we see such beautiful patterns that show up that we never want to paint them or stain them. We may just want to put a clear coat on to show people how pretty they are. And this gourd down here is a prime example of that. When we cleaned the skin off this one, there were such neat stain patterns that kind of looked like lightning bolts that we just put a clear coat on it and left it alone. And by itself is one of the prettiest conversation pieces that we've ever had here at the farm. Also available here at Wuertz Farm are some of the plant buddies that we started creating. My aunt started making some of these to just poke down in the garden. These have been very popular with a lot of our vendors at our Wuertz Gourd Farm Festival. So if you want to see other plant buddies and stuff, be sure to come to our festival, which is usually sometime in February. And they have lots of these different ideas there for sale. Also here is another idea of one of the thunder gourds, and this one really echoes the whole gift shop. And again, just a bigger version of it. The sound just bellows out throughout the top of it, and just a very cool creation that people have been making out of the gourds. Over on this side, we have some of the creations that my mother has done. These are more on the comical side. She's done a donkey out of a couple of them. Up on the top here is what we call the Gourder horse. The ears and on these are made out of the unclean loofah sponges, so they've created just kind of a fun, comical attraction to the barn here. And over here we have some of the straight-handled, long-handled dippers. These were not grown here on the farm. These were grown by one of our vendors and good friends, Glenn Burkhalter from Alabama. And these are a lot of work to grow, and he has done a tremendous job over the years in growing them, training them, and it is truly an art form to do what he does. He currently retired this year, so we wish him the best. And we decided to buy a couple of his last long-handled dippers since he's not going to be making the trip from Alabama to our show anymore. But he is very good at training them. This is one that's tied in a knot. And this is one of the very first ones that we bought from him when he came to our show in 2004. And it truly is an art form to be able to do what he does with them. So with that said, this is basically the tour of our small gift shop here at the farm. For more information and about our gourds and what we do here on the farm, visit WuertzFarm.com.